Hi, my name's Terry. I'm a gardener here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, and I'm going to teach you how to make cages, also called cloches, to protect your plants from deer and rabbits, or they can also be made taller and used to support climbing plants. So I'm going to show you how to do both of those. So I volunteer with the Northwest Perennial Alliance at the beautiful Bellevue Botanical Garden. If you haven't been, I encourage you to come visit. And we deal with rabbits and deer quite a bit eating our plants. So we use this as one of the tools that we use to protect our plants. These cloches or cages are made out of fencing wire. So the wire is 14 gauge and galvanized. And the size of the wire is 2 inches across and 4 inches down for the rectangles. You can get it in different size rolls. What I buy is a 4-foot tall roll that is 50 feet long. This roll has been mostly used up, so there's just the inner core left. But we're going to use that today. So you can buy the wire at Lowe's, Home Depot, maybe your local hardware store has it in stock. The tools that we use are, the first thing is a good pair of wire cutters. So this is a standard pair of wire cutters with a single pivot point. I have found these inadequate to cut this wire. I'm pretty strong, but I don't have enough strength using these. So what we like to use is called a compound action diagonal wire cutter. So this is a Crescent brand that has a regular wire cutter tip, and what you can see is there are 3 pivot points on the wire cutter, and those extra pivot points give you a lot more strength for cutting the wire. So the other one is a DeWalt wire cutter that has a plier tip on the edge that can be useful for other purposes. So whichever works best for you. Another tool that we use is a wire clip plier that we use with these wire cage clips. I also call them J clips because they're J-shaped. The brand of this product is Pet Lodge. There are other brands, but I like this one. It's pretty easy to use, available on Amazon, and also you can find them in the pet area of your store because the clips are used to make cages that keep rabbits in. We're going to use it to make cages to keep rabbits out. The other tool we use are needle nose pliers. This will be used for twisting the wire. You kind of want to get a standard size. If they're too small, it's hard to twist the wire. Now, if we're going to make a cloche, we need to figure out how wide we want it in order to figure out how much wire to cut. So this is a standard size cloche for a small to medium plant. This is 14 inches across, so you might use that for a plant that's going to grow to be 10 to 12 inches in width. And the way you calculate the amount of wire you use is by using the formula of the width or the diameter times pi. So the width of this is 14 inches, so if you multiply 14 times pi, that's 3.14, you get 44. So we're going to want 44 inches of wire in order to make a 14-inch wide cloche. So we want 44 inches. This wire is 2 inches across. So 44 divided by 2 is 22. So we're going to cut 22 of the rectangles around to get our 44 inches. So you just count starting from here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay, so when I get to the end of my 22, I want to leave this vertical piece of wire that I call an arm on after the 22. So I'm going to leave the arm and cut on the adjacent vertical wire. So one thing you need to be aware of with your wire cutters is there's a flat side and a concave side. So you want to put the flat side adjacent to the next vertical wire to get a clean cut. If you accidentally cut it with the concave side up against that vertical wire, you're going to leave a little tail that can poke you later. So again, flip it to the flat side and cut that tail off. So I have the wire cut to the width I want it. Now I need to decide how tall I want to make the cloche. If I wanted to do a small cloche to protect plants, this is 3 rectangles with a tail left on the bottom tall. If I wanted to make a support, something like this, I could do the whole length of wire. So, and then this is a little fancy topper that I made to go on top, a little decorative piece. So I'm going to cut this wire so that it is the same size as this one. So 3 rectangles tall with the legs at the bottom. So the legs are used to stick into the ground to hold your cloche in place. So there's a couple different tops you can make for your cloche. You could just make it and leave it flat, just like this. You could do something with a curly top design. This one has a lot of different examples of how to curl the top. It's kind of crazy looking. Or you can do one where the top closes in. So this is, you know, pretty looking, and it's also useful to help keep deer from sticking their nose inside of the cloche and eating your plants. So this is the more difficult one to make. I'm going to show you how to do that one first. So now we need to connect the 2 sides of the cloche to close it. And you could use all of the wire arms and twist them around, but that's a little clunky. It's harder to do. I prefer to use the J-clips to connect the 2 sides, only leaving one of the arms to connect the 2 sides for stability. So for the closed top cloche, I'm going to leave the top arm on. So I'm going to cut these other side arms off. When you're cutting, you need to hold the wire so it doesn't go flying, because you've created like a barbed wire end to this that's sharp, so you don't want it to fly up in your face or next to somebody who might be near you. Okay, so those arms are cut off. So now I'm going to connect the 2 sides together using this top wire. So what this does is provide stability to keep the cage from shifting up and down like this when I twist the top of the wire. So in order to do this, you're going to take your wire, you're going to go over and around and you can either tuck the end in or you could clip it off. But now that I've done that, you can see it keeps the cage from sliding up and down. From there, I'm going to use the pliers with the J-clip. You want to put the curved end of the J-clip on the side that has 2 prongs. I'm going to put that into place and grab 2 wires, hold them adjacent to each other, and slide the clip around. So now I have my cage all connected. So I could use it just like this. You don't have to do anything decorative, but if you want to have some twists in the wire to make it more visually appealing, or to help close in the top to keep the deer noses out, I'm going to show you how to do that. So first, if I go down to the 3rd wire from the top, I'm going to do 1/4 turns all the way around. For my next layer up, I'm going to do 1/2 turns or 90-degree twists all the way around. So you're going to turn your pliers 90 degrees, and that'll give you a 90-degree bend in your wire as well. So I didn't put a J-clip on this level. I missed that one, and you can see what it's doing. It's pulling the 2 wires apart. So I'm going to push them together and add a J-clip. So now you can see that the wire is kind of starting to cinch in the cloche, almost like a belt around your waist, or what I like to call the nuclear reactor look here. So if you like this design, you could use the cloche just like this. It's a little bit twisted out of place. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do the top. Using what I call an S-turn. So what an S-turn is you turn the wire 90 degrees once, take your pliers out, and go 90 degrees again. And depending on how you are looking at it, it's either going to look like an S or a backward S. and you're going to go all the way around the top. So now we've twisted all the way around. We have our S-turns, and some people like to flatten those out a little bit. It'll actually make the opening at the top a little bit narrower. So that's one thing I like about these DeWalt plier tipped wire cutters, is you can use that broad end, grab that that S twist and kind of flatten it out at the top. Okay, so that is the closed, well, not completely closed, but a more closed top cloche. Now I'm going to show you how to make the open top. So in order to get these wires that are standing up, what you need to do is cut the top piece of wire off. I'm going to get my wire cutters and just go all the way around. So the wire I've cut off here is basically a piece of barbed wire. Because it's galvanized, it's not recyclable, so you're going to need to put it in your trash. So you want to fold it up carefully so it doesn't poke out of your trash. Because my overalls are nice and thick, I can push into them with the wire to flatten it out, and then carefully bend it again, and then put this in the trash along with any cut pieces of wire that you've taken off of your cloche. You'll see that right here there's two wires together because where the ends meet. So I'm going to take one of those off, and I need to connect my wire. I've already got a couple of clips down here, but I need to connect the wire, and I usually like to do it more in the middle. So I'm going to take this arm off. I'm going to leave this one, take this one off, and the other ones have already been clipped off. So in order to twist it in the middle, you're going to use the same technique. You're going to take this arm and pull it over and around the adjacent wires to close that off. So when you're putting the J clips on, it's easy to accidentally only clip one wire. And if you see that you're doing that, stop before you get it too tight. And if you want to remove it because you don't like the aesthetics of having that extra wire there, you can use a screwdriver and a pair of pliers to get that off. So now we have the wires ready to twist at the top, which is pretty easy to do. You're just going to take your pair of pliers and bend the wire around into whatever shape you want. Like I showed you on this one, there's a lot of examples of crazy twists and turns you can do. My favorite design is to actually turn them sideways. So if you have a tall cloche, the leg wires that we cut probably aren't going to be enough to support it from an animal knocking it over or from the weight of a climbing plant. So what I recommend for a tall cloche like this is get a narrow piece of rebar about 4 feet tall, pound it into the ground, adjacent to where you want your cloche to be, and then just zip tie one link of the wire to the rebar, and that'll be enough to keep it stable. So you'll notice on this tall cloche there's a design element here where we've pinched together the wires and used one of the J clips to give us these little triangles, and on this one I have it at 2 different levels, so I'm going to show you how to do that. The wire is not close enough to just use my needle nose pliers to push it together. So what I need to do is pinch the wire first, and then take my needle nose pliers and squeeze it more firmly. So I've got my wires pinched together, but they're not touching. So in order to get them closer together, there's a couple things you can do. You can squeeze the wires at the adjacent set together, and you'll see what happens is it pulls these 2 wires together. One thing to make it easier to get your J clip on is to use a pair of pliers, or if you happen to have these plier tipped wire cutters, squeeze those 2 wires in the middle, and it'll give you a flatter surface that makes it easier to put your J clip on. So I have now flattened this out. I'm going to put my J clip, again the curved part of the J goes where the 2 prongs are, and come around and pinch that together, and that's how you get your wire clips on. Okay, so that's everything you should need to know about making a cloche. If you are interested in making a donation to the Northwest Perennial Alliance to support our work of educating gardeners, we'd appreciate it. Our website is northwestperennialalliance.org, and we'd love for you to come visit our perennial border that we maintain at the Bellevue Botanical Garden. And you'll get to see lots of cloches in the garden, different sizes, different shapes. So if you're in the Seattle Bellevue area, please come by and visit us. Thanks so much.